I have no problem with hearing from any and all on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Julian, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I really want to get back to questioning Mr. Weber. I know he has a lot of important information on behalf of his members to give to this committee. So I'll just say two things. First off, ministerial responsibility means that the minister should be appearing. Second off, in reply to my Conservative colleague, I lived through the Harper regime from 2011 to 2015, where Conservative ministers never took responsibility for the various egregious scandals that we saw, the ETS scandal, the Phoenix scandal that continues to reverberate today. And I don't want to go back to those days when there isn't ministerial responsibility. And so I believe it incumbent on this committee to have the list of witnesses that are involved. This is shocking as a temporary member of the committee for today. I think it's absolutely essential for public accounts that we have the ability to question the minister, the deputy minister, also the individual in question. That's why I'm supporting the motion and supporting the amendment. And I hope that we can come to a conclusion rapidly so we can come back to questioning our witness who has a lot of valuable information for this committee and for Canadians.
Thank you. I'm calling the vote now on the amendment. Madam Clerk.
Shall the amendment proposed by Mr. Barrett carry? Ms. Sidhu?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Ms. Khalid?
Yes.
Ms. Shanahan?
Yes.
Ms. Yip?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Oui.
Ms. Block?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Madame Sinclair de Gagny?
Oui.
Mr. Julian?
Yes, and I guess that makes it unanimous.
10 yeas.
10 years. Very good. I'll move now. Any speakers to the motion? Seeing none, Clerk, please call the vote on the motion as amended.
Shall the motion proposed by Ms. Yip as amended carry? Ms. Sidhu?
Yes.
Mr. Batiste?
Yes.
Ms. Khalid?
Yes.
Ms. Shanahan?
Yes.
Ms. Yip?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Ms. Block?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Madame Sinclair de Gagny?
Oui.
Mr. Julian?
L'unanimité encore? Oui.
10 yeas.
Très bien. Yes, Mr. Julian, I like to wait for the clerk just to be sure. Very good. Turning now back to Mr. Weber. Ms. Yip, you still have a minute left. Would you like to take advantage of that time? Oh, you're on mute, Ms. Yip.
Okay. Perhaps you could start by telling us some of the strains that the pandemic placed on the CBSA frontline workers. I realize that you probably have like 45 seconds, so even if you just started your answer, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you. The primary strain was dealing with the ArriveCan app, collecting information that really wasn't for the purposes of customs, and again, working with an app that went down frequently, was not very user-friendly, and was not usable by many people who were crossing at the border.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Just to update everyone before I turn to our next line of questioning, I am just seeking extra resources so we can hear from our next witness as well. So if you have, it's not my intention to keep people here into supper time, but we will go a little bit beyond 5 o'clock just so we give our next witness the adequate respect that that person deserves coming in here. Madame Séclé-Desgagnés, vous avez la parole pour 6 minutes, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Weber. Thank you for being back here with us. I'll go directly to the questions that I had for you for a while now. Are you aware of, did you read the Auditor General's report?
Parfait.
Perfect. In paragraph 42 and 43, the Auditor General recounts some factors that are suspicions of misconduct by officers of CBSA. I would like to know what you think on, first, the code of conduct that exists, whether or not you, as a union, look into that code of misconduct and its application, and whether or not you were informed of some violations of the code of conduct.
Regarding specifically what happened around ArriveCan, we've not been asked, consulted. We didn't have anything to do with procurement, weren't involved in any of that or had any knowledge of that. Regarding the CBSA Code of Conduct, our knowledge of how it works is that it's really lacking in specificity. The CBSA Code of Conduct is so broad and overarching and covers the actions of our members at work, at home. I think a good way to put it is that really if they want to get you for something, that covers absolutely everything, which is a real problem with it, right? We'd like to see that really tightened up and made more narrow so our members know exactly what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. The other issue that we have in general with how the investigations were done is that what we see at the CBSA is a very two-tiered system where you have members, frontline officers who are investigated for almost everything. The CBSA operates largely, their management style is to investigate rather than to manage. On the other hand, we bring forward serious misconduct of management and upper management, and consistently there are no investigations. It's really like screaming into the wind. I bring things forward to upper management, the CBSA, that honestly, if our members had done that, I would be advising them that there's a good chance you will be losing your job, and they are simply not investigated. So it's really disheartening. It creates a toxic atmosphere at the workplace when we see what's going on with the ArriveCan investigations and we hear the testimony of professional standards investigators. You know, it's hard for our members to see given what they've experienced in their careers, and it's really hard to know whether the proper things are being investigated as they should.
Super, très intéressant.
Very interesting. On that point, were there any discussions on any changes to the code of conduct for it to be more specific, to be better applied, and better respected by employees in some cases?
Discussions around the professional standards, policy, how they conduct investigations, the code of conduct itself, the discipline grid that the CBSA uses. You know, we have those consultations with management, and we're not really seeing any change in how those things are done. Again, how you're treated as a manager or an employee at the CBSA is absolutely night and day, and that's the fundamental issue.
Merci. Avec quel...
Thank you. What level of management are you dealing with when you discuss such matters?
To the CBSA president.
D'accord. Donc, il est arrivé aux oreilles de...
So the president heard that the code of conduct was not necessarily appropriate and was not clear enough for employees to be able to follow the directives that are mostly common sense, even though I don't like that expression these days, so that employees could know what they need to do, and particularly when there are cases and when investigations have to be carried out fairly. So you were aware of cases where there was a perception of misconduct and investigations were not necessarily proper?
We've seen heavy-handed discipline. We've seen investigations where there need not have been any. It could have been a simple conversation with an employee. The CBSA, as I said earlier, in general, manages through fact findings and through investigation, and that's gotten worse and worse and worse over the years. Despite the fact that we keep adding more and more and more and more managers to the workplace, you would think there'd be some ability to manage. That's really not what we see there. Discipline, my understanding is it's supposed to be corrective, not punitive. We see our members regularly disciplined with no training, not even really knowledge of how they could often have done anything differently to not get themselves disciplined in the first place. So it's quite a challenging atmosphere for them to work in, and when they see the behavior of some managers and report that behavior and see, really nothing happen when it's on that side, it's very disheartening.
Et pourquoi, selon vous, il n'y a pas de changement?
In your opinion, why has there been no change? I know you don't have much time.
Change takes time. The union does everything it can to represent members. I think we're successful at representing members in large part. We bring those issues forward to the employer. I do have hope with the new CBSA president, Ms. O'Gorman. It is seeing a lot of the things that do need to be changed. The CBSA, it's a big ship to turn around, right? We keep plugging away at it, but change is needed quite desperately. It becomes more and more a difficult place for our members to work in.
Effectivement, on a entendu beaucoup de...
Yes, indeed, we heard of cases of former employees who left with a lot of frustration. Are you aware of Mr. Sabourin's case, Mr. Weber?
Familiar with that.
Alors, Luc Sabourin...
Luc Sabourin was a CBSA employee who was a whistleblower concerning acts that were requested of him and that he thought inappropriate. He reported it and was bullied and was forced to leave. I'm surprised that the union is not aware of this.
Votre temps est écoulé. Mr. Julian, you have the floor for up to 6 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Weber, for your incredible patience today with us and at previous meetings of public accounts. You also appeared in front of public safety just a few weeks ago, and we thank you for that appearance on behalf of CBSA officers and public sector employees right across the country who do fabulous work on our behalf. You had referenced at that time, and you reference again in your document, in your statement for today, the massive cuts that were done to CBSA officers across the country in 2014 under the former Conservative government. This is in connection, of course, with the rise we've seen in the exports of auto theft, but also generally tied to the issue of ArriveCan is the fact that those positions have not been fully restored. Can you tell us a bit about the dramatic impact of those Conservative cuts and where the government should have gone in terms of making investments in frontline CBSA officers so that we actually have in place functioning systems at the border?
Yeah, thank you. I think the investment has to be in people. We haven't seen those numbers go up. Since 2015, the CBSA has added about 2,000 managers to their ranks, which is specifically what we don't need. We're already inundated with managers at the CBSA. We have, workplaces where we have as many managers, or in some cases more, than we have people actually doing the work to process travelers and interdict. I could give examples that are extreme. North Portal, Saskatchewan, on any weekday, you'll have 7 managers and 5 officers.
Sorry, seven managers?
Seven managers and 5
officers?
officers. I visit workplaces regularly where the numbers are about even. It has become so top-heavy and dysfunctional in some cases. I could tell you personal experience. I've worked as an officer in the secondary area at Pearson Airport with 1 other officer, a lineup out the door, and 4 superintendents who do not process any travelers. And we see this added.
What are the superintendents doing?
It's an excellent question. Apparently, supervising us. I don't want to be mean and say close to nothing, but it's pretty close to that. Our officers, a lot of them take every acting opportunity they can simply because they're exhausted, and an acting superintendent assignment is a bit of a 4-month break for them to not do much of anything. That's the sad reality of it.
That is stunning to me. And when we talk about the ArriveCan app, adding to what is simply withdrawing investments that are so important to make sure that our frontline officers are getting the supports that they need. I want